During this project, you'll create an original drawing utilizing a crawl level design make process. You're going to block in the background of a printed picture with graphite, transfer parts of the image with a pen, and then shade and compare your work to the printed image. When finished, you'll have a completed, accurate, finished drawing, presented with a full value range and a high level of detail and craftsmanship qualities. We're going to work on fine motor skills, mark making, pressure sensitivities, and texture matching. You'll also consider your composition, what you want to add and omit early on in the process. We're going to cover 3 different options for digital prepping and printing. Materials needed. We'll do a transferring demo and talk about shading and texture matching. Be sure to like and subscribe below, and let's get started. Our photograph for the drawing transfer, we're going to start with a color version, make it black and white, and crop it down before we print it. That way it'll fill up the picture plane for the drawing. So in order to do that, we can use one of 3 different tools. We can use preview, so when you open up the image on your desktop, in preview, the tools are here. We can select an area and crop it, or just select an area and hit enter on our keyboard to crop it, and then we can go in and adjust the color. So I'm going to go ahead and drag across an area that I want to remove some of that background that I don't need. Go back to tools, click crop to crop it down, and now I just need to make it black and white, and I'm going to also adjust my colors for the print. I'm going to go back to tools, adjust color, turn the saturation all the way down to remove the color, hit auto levels, and I'm ready to print. Go to file, print, and for sizing I can do one of a couple of things. I can either turn the scale up or down. It's at 28%. This is 30. It looks like a couple parts of my image are at least touching the edge of the picture plane. Or I can go to scale to fit and either print the entire image or click fill entire paper. For this composition, I'm just going to go ahead and fill the entire paper, click print, and as soon as it prints, it's ready to be transferred. Another way to make this adjustment is in an application called Photopea. It's similar to Photoshop. It's free, browser based, so it will work on a Chromebook, a PC, or a Mac. Just go to photopea.com, file, open, select your image, click open, and in Photopea I can either use the crop tool or I can use the marquee tool. I'll just go ahead and drag across the area that I want with the marquee tool. Go to image, crop, and now I can make my black and white adjustment. I'll go back to image, adjustments, select black and white, and I also like to go back to images, click auto tone and auto contrast as well, especially if I'm printing black and white. Now I can go to file, export as, and go ahead and select JPEG for printing. In Photoshop, it's the same process. Go to file, open, select the image you want to use, open it, and we can either use the crop tool or the marquee tool to select the area that we want to crop to. In this case, I use a crop tool. Hit enter, go to image, adjustments, select black and white, and we can adjust this histogram any way we want. And I also like to click auto tone and auto contrast in Photoshop. If you do want to adjust the image at all to make it lighter or darker, go to image adjustments and use brightness and contrast. And you can do that in any of these applications. When you're happy with it, click OK, File, Save As, leave it a JPEG, give it a name. Select it, click OK, and once it drops onto your desktop, it's ready to be printed. So to start the transfer, we're going to need a sheet of drawing paper, the image that we just prepped and printed, some tape, a ballpoint pen, and then some pencils. I suggest using some darker pencils, ebony or 6B, something heavy so that you can lay down a lot of graphite in the back of the image. Start shading the back of the image. I suggest shading the entire image, paying close attention to the areas that you know you're going to transfer so that you can get those transferred readily. I'd shade in different directions. It'll go faster using the side of your pencil. Once you think you have everything shaded, lift the image up and check the front and the back. Make sure that those areas that you are going to transfer do get shaded. And now it's time to tape down your drawing paper. When you're ready to transfer, tape the image over top of your drawing paper, and I suggest folding a little tab on your tape so that when you pull the image off of the drawing paper, it doesn't rip it. When you do start transferring, pay close attention to things like contours and value transitions, those areas where you see light to dark. Any area that you're uncomfortable freehanding. And remember, the goal of this transfer isn't just to copy. It's so that you have some starting points and some references to go in and build your drawing with. Every once in a while, lift up your sheet of paper and check to make sure that the lines are transferring. If you do need to go back and add graphite to the back of your photograph, it'll be easy to do since it's taped down. So I'm going to go ahead and trace all the contours, any of those value transitions that I feel I need. And things like shadows in the grass. And notice I am omitting the background. I don't want to add that to the drawing. So any area that you don't want to add, just don't trace it. When you feel you're finished, lift up the transfer paper, check to make sure your line work is there, everything that you need. If it's not, just add it. And you're ready to start your drawing. So I've started to shade my composition, and a couple of quick notes about shading in general. I would suggest, first off, taping a sheet of paper to the back of your transfer. That way you won't smudge graphite all over your work while you're working with it. Start with your lightest areas first. Use an H pencil and work your way up to those B's. If you start too dark too fast, you're going to run into some issues while you're shading. Every once in a while, take your sheet of paper and either fold it in half or fold parts of it and match it up against the drawing, just to check to see how your values are coming along. In this case, I'm staying very light, and when I match up my photo with my drawing, you can see I do need to go heavier. But at least I'm blocking in those areas that I know are going to have to be developed a little bit later on. I'm using hatching to mimic the texture of the fur, just shading in the direction that the fur goes. Depending on the image that you use, you may have to take a scrap sheet of paper and perhaps practice some of those texture mimicking qualities as you work with this. But remember to stay light and then work to your darker values later on. I hope you enjoyed this crawl project, and I hope that it gives you some confidence to move into my walk and run projects demonstrated in other tutorials. Remember to always do the best that you can in everything that you do. Take care.